Hello, and welcome to another video from 3.5 Archive. Today, we're going to be doing another D&D 3.5 Prestige Class review, and we're going to be looking at the Blood Magus from the Complete Arcane Supplement. The Blood Magus is a spellcaster who died and then returned to life, and in doing so gained a new appreciation and different perspective on his vital fluids. Blood Magus is warp blood, using it to hold magic, enhance their magic, or even attack others. This is a fairly gruesome, but very cool prestige class. To become a Blood Magus, you need to be a 5th level arcane spellcaster, have great fortitude and toughness for your feats, and have 4 ranks in concentration. You can be of any alignment except for lawful good. You also must have been killed and then returned to life. This story requirement is a bit difficult to accomplish, and only a very privileged character would be able to work this into their backstory, at least for a character starting at level 1. For starting at higher levels, it's a bit easier to start out this way, but you certainly could have this apply to a character who actually did die during the campaign. That might be a fairly expensive way to get into the prestige class, and it's recommended that you don't die on purpose just to qualify, but it might be your only way. It's just something to keep in mind. The prerequisites here are fairly restrictive. You need to use 2 feats that aren't really relevant to spellcasters and don't help you very much outside of qualifying for this prestige class. They both are relevant to the Blood Magus' features in a way, which do require you to make fortitude saves sometimes, as well as using your hit points to pay for your abilities. This prestige class already takes away from your spellcasting prowess a little bit, so the fact that you effectively lose 4 feats over its 10 levels is certainly a sobering mindset to begin looking at it with, seeing as you lose 2 feats for its prerequisites, as well as the 2 wizard bonus feats you would have gotten otherwise. Of course, you might not be a wizard, and in many ways a sorcerer fits better here. That said, you could be a war mage, duskblade, or something else instead. A duskblade would make for a very interesting Blood Magus and would have more hit points than a wizard or sorcerer would to work with. But the Blood Magus' base attack bonus is pretty much a deal breaker for a duskblade, unfortunately. So let's look at what you get for being a Blood Magus. You get a d6 hit die, good fortitude save, 1/2 level base attack bonus, and a number of skill points per level equal to 2 plus your intelligence modifier. Your spellcasting advances at every level in this prestige class except for levels 5 and 10. This can make it tempting to only go 4 levels into the prestige class, and that is definitely an option, but as we'll see, the coolest features the Blood Magus has to offer come at the highest levels. So let's take a look. At level 1, you get 3 features: Blood Component, Durable Casting, and Stanch. Blood Component allows you to use a droplet of blood in place of material components costing 1 gold piece or less for your spell casting. You lose 1 hit point and your spell's caster level increases by 1 when you do this. And you can use this feature even with spells that don't have any material components at all. This is a great feature. Even on a 1d6 per level damage spell like Fireball or Lightning Bolt, this increases the damage you deal by 3 points at the cost of 1 hit point from you. While you don't want to go wild with this ability, 1 point is a small price to pay to give your spells the extra edge. Also at level 1, you get Durable Casting. Whenever you have to make a concentration check due to taking damage, you subtract your level from that damage. This is your class level, by the way, which is only made clear by the subsequent example. So effectively, by the end of this prestige class, you can take up to 10 damage without having to make a concentration check at all. Unless your Dungeon Master is having enemies with crossbows ready attacks to trigger when you start casting a spell, or you do a lot of summon monster spells, odds are this won't come up a whole lot, and that makes it a pretty mediocre class feature. Finally, your last level 1 feature is Stanch, which means you automatically become stable if you're reduced below 0 hit points. You still die at negative 10 hit points, but that can't be helped. Play Pathfinder or use the Epic Level Handbook alternate death threshold rules if you want to change that. Stanch is a feature that will become less and less useful as levels get higher and damage grows higher as well, since damage that drops you below 0 hit points is more likely to just outright kill you at higher levels. Another feature that is very situational, and often when you do go into the -1 to -9 hit point range, a party member will be able to revive you easily before you bleed to death anyway. Features like this are vastly overrated. Let's move on to level 2. At level 2 you get Scarification. This allows you to carve up to 6 spells into your skin as scars, similar to a tattooed spellbook, which is also available in Complete Arcane. This feature gives you the equivalent of the Scribe Scroll feat, although your scrolls are only usable by you, yet they still cost experience points to craft, removing a lot of their value. They are still scrolls and can give you some emergency spells as a backup, such as Feather Fall or even Teleport that you can keep in your back pocket in an emergency, but not necessarily always want to keep prepared or available to you. This feature seems powerful, and to an extent it is, but most of the value comes in getting Scribe Scroll if you didn't already have it, and a lot of characters coming into this prestige class will be wizards who do already have it. Besides, what's the value here? Not having to use a move action to pull out a scroll you keep on your belt? This is a decent feature, but still nothing amazing. At level 3, you get the ability to cast Death Knell once per day as a spell-like ability. This will give you some temporary hit points you can spend on your blood component boosted spells, but you do need a dying creature to kill to do so. And then you get 1d8 temporary hit points for 10 minutes per hit die. All in all, the spell is only minimally helpful to power your blood component ability, and doesn't give you anything else interesting. You also only get to cast it once per day, and if you're casting it on a dying creature, unless you're going to fight something else in 10 minutes, or you're spending a precious turn during combat to do it while there's still enemies alive to fight, then it's not going to be very useful there either. This level is okay, but again, nothing special. At level 4, your last level of Blood Magus before your spellcasting progression is interrupted, you get Blood Draught. This feature lets you store potions in your blood. You effectively get the Brew Potion feat, paying gold and XP normally, but you can store these potions within your body. It still takes a standard action, which provokes an attack of opportunity to consume one. The fact that this provokes an attack of opportunity, despite you just having to prick yourself with a needle, is rather frustrating. This is essentially a bonus feat, and you can even let other creatures consume one of your blood potions if you are willing to lose a hit point, and perhaps more importantly, if they are willing and have a strong enough stomach to drink your blood. You can store a number equal to your Blood Magus level, plus your Constitution modifier, at a time of potions within your blood, which is pretty solid, but odds are you'll never even hit this limit, as you'd probably rather save your experience points for better items that aren't consumables. Still, this is a bonus feat for free, so it's not like you're investing that much else into it, but this is a level that could have had another feature instead. It's okay, and it's a certainly cool feature thematically, but it's one of those things where you'd rather be using potions that you found in the dungeon, and it's more of a hassle to sell them, so you'd rather just keep them and use them, than to be brewing them yourself. At level 5, your spellcasting doesn't advance, and you get the ability to create a homunculus. You permanently sacrifice 1 hit point, and spend 1 hour to create it. You can touch it and transfer your wounds to it, between 5 and 10 hit points per round. This can keep you alive in combat, but each touch provokes an attack of opportunity, so that could just make your situation worse. If your homunculus dies, you take 2d10 damage, which isn't nothing for many spellcasters. The homunculus does get more hit dice, giving you a nice healing reserve, but healing isn't usually a problem for spellcasters. For a Duskblade on the front lines, this would be a nice feature, but again, the half-level base attack bonus for this prestige class kind of kills the prestige class's attractiveness to the Duskblade. At level 6, you get Blood-Seeking Spell. This lets you deal 3 damage to yourself as part of casting a spell, and if you do, that spell does an extra 1d6 damage to each target. This only applies to spells that deal hit point damage, but it can be stacked with Blood component if you pay 4 hit points to deal an extra 2d6 damage with Fireball and Lightning Bolt type spells. It only works on creatures that have blood, so that's something to keep in mind. A decent damage buffing feature, but not fantastic. Also keep in mind that you just lost a caster level, level 5, so in some ways this just makes up for that, and if anything, at an additional cost. At level 7, you get Thicker Than Water, which gives you control of your blood enough to draw away from wounds you suffer. This gives you damage reduction 1/bludgeoning. It doesn't allow you to avoid any of your abilities that sacrifice hit points, as they explicitly bypass damage reduction. Still, a few extra effective hit points are good. This level isn't hugely exciting, however. At level 8, though, you get the feature Awaken Blood, allowing you to imbue an opponent's blood with sentience, as well as the will to escape its fleshy prison. This is a melee touch attack you can use on any creature that has blood, and it deals 10d10 damage. This is typeless damage with no saving throw, so while melee touch isn't a very good ability usually for spellcasters, especially arcane spellcasters, this is pretty fantastic for a class feature, as well as being a truly gruesome way to kill a foe. This feature is great and will make anyone who gets into melee with you really regret it, unless they're a construct, elemental, ooze, plant, or undead, I suppose. At level 9 you get Infusion, which increases your constitution by 2. That's it. That's a pretty solid feature though, even if it is a bit boring. Spellcasters, especially ones that use their hit points to empower their spells like the Blood Magus does, can always use a larger health pool. Not an exciting feature, again, but arguably a lot better than the Thicker and Water feature you got a couple levels ago. Finally, at level 10, you get Bloodwalk, the iconic feature of the Blood Magus. This can be used once a day and effectively allows you to teleport between two living creatures any distance apart by teleporting between their blood systems. The Blood Magus can exit the creature at the other end harmlessly, or can make a bloody exit, which deals 10d6 damage to the creature at the end of his Bloodwalk, unless it passes a Fortitude save whose DC is 10 plus the Blood Magus' class level, plus his Constitution modifier. The Blood Magus himself has to pass a DC 15 Fortitude save after making a bloody exit, or be stunned for 1 round. So this feature is a very powerful teleport feature, although it does require people to be at your destination, as well as they have to be able to deal with the consequences of the rather unpleasant sensation they will have when they serve at the end of a magical blood portal, even if they don't take damage from the bloody exit if you don't use it. Speaking of which, 10d6 damage is nice, but less relevant at character fit level 15, which is where you'll be by the time you are getting this feature. A DC 22 to 25 Fortitude save is not that difficult for a lot of high-level monsters to make, as Fortitude tends to be one of their better saves. This is, again, the Blood Magus' most iconic feature in a lot of ways, but it's not very strong. It is, however, very, very cool, and while you do miss out on another level of spellcasting to get it, it is worth it to get just for the coolness factor, even if it is just a downgraded greater teleport. So, looking at the Blood Magus overall, we see a prestige class that has a theme to it, but not a lot of focus. A lot of the features are straight up mediocre. Frankly, nothing here really greatly improves your power level besides the level 1 feature. Will you miss 2 points of Constitution and the ability to deal 55 points of damage on average with a touch? Yes, but you'll also miss the ability to get a whole new level of spells a level or 2 sooner. It's not the end of the world to lose those caster levels though, and if you can find a set of spells that you like casting to make use of your blood components, then a 1 level dip into this isn't bad. But if you do that, keep in mind that even with a 1 level dip, that's not the only investment you're making. You're still giving up 2 feats just to qualify for the Blood Magus. If you do go the full 10 levels, you'll be a downgraded but still competent spellcaster. It's worth it for flavor reasons, if not for power reasons. As a result, the Blood Magus gets 4 stars for concept and 3 stars for execution. It certainly isn't bad, and frankly is an even trade overall in a lot of ways. You give up 4 feats that could choose anything with for a set of 12 specific and preset features that lack focus, and arguably one of which makes up for your missing levels of spellcasting. And you'll miss those caster levels, but with the upgraded hit die and other abilities, you'll probably be okay. How could we change the Blood Magus? This may be another case where a 5-level prestige class would be better, but frankly, the biggest barrier to the Blood Magus being a viable power option is the missing spellcasting advancement at levels 5 and 10. We say this about every caster-centered prestige class, but it hits home especially hard here, because you get features that improve your caster level and damage, but they are all just negated by those lost caster levels, leaving one of the central features of the class being just a compensatory measure rather than something actually cool that adds to your character's strength as a general sort of thing. As a result, it'd be more than fair to give this prestige class full spellcasting. Its features are disparate enough that it isn't particularly powerful anyway. That would be the best solution for it as a 10-level prestige class. As a 5-level prestige class, having Blood Component and Stanch at level 1, Blood Draw at level 2, Blood Seeking Spell at level 3, Thicker Than Water and Awaken Blood at level 4, and Bloodwalk at level 5 would be a decent enough prestige class, though Bloodwalk might have to be powered down to avoid giving the wizard effectively a greater teleport once per day at level 10. Even so, Bloodwalk is a greatly nerfed version of that spell, limited to 1 use per day, and requiring there to be people at your destination for you to Bloodwalk into, so it wouldn't be egregiously overpowered even then. This might seem like an overly compressed version of the class, but remember, you are giving up 2 feats for this prestige class, and its strongest option is the blood component at first, so it kind of makes sense for the features to come on quick and furious when you finally do get to it. The Blood Magus won't make your character more powerful overall, but it will make him a lot cooler, and that can be reason enough to play one by itself. If you really want to just improve your character and get a taste, the 1-level dip is expensive, but probably worth going in 4 levels to grab up all of the scattered features. The best choice though, at least in my opinion, is to go through all 10 levels and have fun with the crazy abilities that the Blood Magus gets at higher levels. You won't regret it, but your enemies and possibly your party members as well will most certainly. So that'll be about it for this D&D 3.5 Prestige class review. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and so on. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time here on 3.5 Archive.